She was just a waitress. He was a billionaire who could buy and sell her entire world with pocket change. When he insulted her in a foreign language, thinking she was too stupid to understand, he made the biggest mistake of his life. Because what he didn't know was, this simple waitress was hiding a secret that would destroy his arrogance in less than 60 seconds. This is the true story of how one perfect sentence, spoken in flawless Japanese, turned a powerful man's world completely upside down. And by the end, you'll understand why the quietest people in the room are often the most dangerous. Stay with me, because what happens next will give you chills. Welcome to Voice of Granny. While you're here, please hit the subscribe button, and comment your thoughts on the story. Where are you watching from? You know, sometimes life puts us in places where we feel invisible, where people look right through us, like we're nothing more than furniture. That's exactly where Sarah Williams found herself, every single day. Sarah was 24 years old, working at a fancy restaurant in London called the Royal Table. It was one of those places where the rich and powerful came to eat, where a single meal could cost more than Sarah made in a week. The chandeliers sparkled like diamonds. The carpet was so thick your feet sank into it. And every plate that left the kitchen looked like a work of art. But for Sarah, it wasn't glamorous at all glamorous. It was survival. Every morning she woke up in her tiny flat in East London, the kind of place where you could hear your neighbors through the walls, and the heating never quite worked properly. She put on her crisp black uniform, tied her dark hair back in a neat bun, and headed to the underground. 2 trains, 40 minutes later, she arrived at the Royal Table, ready for another shift that left her feet aching and her spirit tired. What most people didn't know about Sarah was that she had a secret life. When she wasn't carrying plates and pouring wine, she was a student at London University, studying languages. Not just 1 or 2 languages either. Sarah could speak French like a Parisian, Spanish like someone from Madrid, and Mandarin well enough to hold a proper conversation. But her real gift was Japanese. She had spent a whole year in Tokyo on a scholarship, living with a host family, studying at one of Japan's top universities, completely immersing herself in the language and culture. She had fallen in love with everything about it. The way the language could be so polite and formal, or warm and friendly, depending on how you used it. The subtle ways people showed respect and emotion through their words. She had even written her entire university thesis on it. But none of that mattered at the Royal Table. There, she was just another waitress, just another pair of hands to serve wealthy people who never really looked at her face. Her manager, Mr. Peterson, was a nervous, sweaty man who cared more about impressing rich customers than treating his staff like human beings. He would panic at the smallest thing, a fork in the wrong place, a napkin folded wrong, and take it out on whoever was nearby. Sarah had learned to keep her head down and stay out of his way. Then there was Victoria. Victoria had worked at the restaurant for 6 years and treated the place like her personal kingdom. She had sharp eyes that missed nothing, and a smile that never quite reached those eyes. From the moment Sarah started, Victoria saw her as a threat. Sarah was younger, quicker, and customers liked her genuine warmth. Victoria couldn't stand it. So Victoria made Sarah's life difficult in small, cruel ways. She gave Sarah the worst tables, the most demanding customers. She forgot to tell Sarah when orders were ready, making her look slow. She whispered little rumors and lies to the other staff. Nothing Sarah could complain about directly, but enough to make every shift feel like walking through a minefield. Sarah endured it all because she had no choice. The money paid for her university fees, her rent, her food. She was so close to finishing her degree, so close to a better future. She just had to hold on a little longer. On this particular Tuesday evening, something felt different. Sarah could feel the tension the moment she arrived. Mr. Peterson was practically shaking with anxiety, his face redder than ever. The staff were whispering urgently. "What's going on?" Sarah asked one of the kitchen staff. "Haven't you heard?" he said, eyes wide. "Takashi Yamamoto is coming tonight." The Takashi Yamamoto. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. Everyone knew that name. Takashi Yamamoto was a Japanese real estate tycoon, one of the richest men in Asia. He had built an empire buying and developing properties from Tokyo to New York to London. He was known for two things: his brilliant business mind and his absolutely terrifying temper. Newspapers called him the Ice Emperor because of his cold, ruthless way of doing business, and his reputation for destroying anyone who got in his way. Mr. Peterson gathered all the staff in the kitchen, hands shaking. "Listen carefully," he said, voice tight. "Mr. Yamamoto has reserved our best table tonight. This is the most important booking we've had all year. Everything must be perfect. Perfect. Do you understand?" Everyone nodded. Then Mr. Peterson's eyes landed on Sarah. "Williams, you'll be serving table 7, his table." Sarah felt her stomach drop. Table 7 was right in the center of the dining room, the most visible spot. She glanced at Victoria, who was smirking, arms crossed. This was a setup. "Sir, perhaps someone with more experience," Sarah began. "I've made my decision, Williams. Don't disappoint me." As Sarah straightened her apron and took a deep breath, she had no idea the next few hours would change everything. At exactly 7 o'clock, the front doors opened, and Takashi Yamamoto walked in. The entire restaurant seemed to hold its breath. He was in his late 50s, tall and lean, wearing a suit so perfectly tailored it probably cost more than a car. His black hair was streaked with distinguished gray at the temples, and his face showed cool displeasure, as if everything around him was slightly beneath him. But it was his eyes that got you, dark and sharp, like a hawk looking for prey. He wasn't alone. 2 younger Japanese men in expensive suits flanked him, looking nervous, shoulders tight, smiles forced. Junior executives who knew being close to Yamamoto was both an opportunity and a constant test of survival. Mr. Peterson practically ran to greet them, bowing so low Sarah thought he might fall over. "Mr. Yamamoto, welcome, welcome, what an absolute honor!" Yamamoto's cold gaze swept over the manager like he was an insect. He didn't shake hands. He didn't smile. He simply said, in heavily accented English, "My table." "Of course, right this way, sir." Mr. Peterson led them to table 7. Other diners turned, whispered. Everyone recognized him. Sarah watched them approach, heart pounding. She had served difficult customers before, celebrities, politicians, rich people who treated staff like air. But this felt different. There was something about Yamamoto that turned the room to ice. Mr. Peterson seated them with a flourish. "And this is Sarah, Mr. Yamamoto. She'll be taking care of you tonight. One of our finest servers." Sarah stepped forward, professional smile in place. "Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the royal table." Yamamoto's eyes flicked to her for half a second, assessed her, categorized her, dismissed her. She might as well have been a lamp. His associates didn't even look at her. She handed them the leather-bound menus. Yamamoto took his without a word. And so it began. From the very first moment, Takashi Yamamoto was impossible to please. He studied the wine list with a deep frown, asked Sarah technical questions clearly designed to trip her up. But Sarah had worked restaurants for 3 years. She knew her wines. She answered every question calmly and correctly. She saw irritation flash in his eyes when she got everything right. He ordered an appetizer. When she brought the beautiful seared scallops, he took one bite and pushed the plate away. "Overcooked," he said flatly. "Take it back." Sarah didn't argue. "Of course, sir. I'll speak to the chef immediately." The second appetizer came. He ate in silence, but his face said he wasn't impressed. His 2 associates quickly agreed with everything he said. "Yes, not quite right. Could be better." As the evening went on, he found fault with everything. The lighting was too bright. The music was irritating. The table was too close to the door. Each complaint delivered in the same cold, flat tone, never raising his voice, which somehow made it worse. Sarah handled every issue with grace, apologized sincerely, fixed what she could, endured what she couldn't. Across the room, Victoria watched with barely hidden joy. Every time Sarah returned to the kitchen with a complaint, Victoria smirked and whispered to the others. The main courses arrived. 3 perfect beef tenderloins. Sarah carried them carefully. She moved to place the first plate in front of Yamamoto. At that exact moment, one executive gestured wildly, trying to agree with his boss. His hand hit the table, just enough to make it shake. A single drop of water fell from the pitcher in Sarah's hand, and landed on the sleeve of Yamamoto's immaculate jacket. The world stopped. Yamamoto froze. Slowly, he looked at the tiny dark spot. A spot so small most people wouldn't notice. "I am so sorry, sir," Sarah said instantly, reaching with a napkin. "Please let me." Yamamoto held up one hand, stopping her. He didn't look at her. Then, still not looking at Sarah, believing she was just another ignorant English server, he turned to his associates and spoke rapid Japanese. The words were pure poison. "Look at this clumsy girl. They hire these people for their looks and call it service. She probably has the brain of a child. All she's good for is standing there looking pretty, completely useless." The 2 executives laughed, nervous, eager to please laughs. They looked at Sarah with pity and disgust, safe in their secret language. But they were wrong. Sarah understood every single word. For a long moment she stood there, pitcher still in hand. To everyone watching it just looked like a waitress waiting quietly. But inside Sarah, something snapped, or finally broke free. She thought of every time someone looked through her. Every cruel comment from Victoria. Every aching shift she endured for her dreams. She thought of the year in Tokyo, the Tanaka family who treated her like a daughter, the deep respect woven into Japanese culture. And here was this man turning her beloved language into something ugly. The professional smile left her face. Her spine straightened. She carefully placed the pitcher down. Then Sarah spoke, in perfect, flawless Tokyo standard Japanese, calm, steady, and sharp as a blade. "Sir, your assumption that my job reflects my intelligence is as wrong as your understanding of basic human respect. Perhaps a man of your success should have learned by now that wisdom and worth are not decided by someone's job, but by the character they show. Clearly, that is a lesson you still need to learn. And if we are talking about competence, you used the wrong honorific level with your colleagues earlier. For business partners of equal standing, the respectful form would be correct. But perhaps accuracy matters less to you than hearing your own voice." The effect was instant. Takashi Yamamoto went completely white. His mouth actually fell open. For the first time in years, the Ice Emperor was speechless. His 2 executives looked like they'd seen ghosts. They had laughed at her, and she had understood everything. Victoria's wine glass almost slipped from her hand. Mr. Peterson froze mid-step. Silence, thick and heavy. Sarah stood tall, gaze steady. Yamamoto's shock slowly turned to something else, embarrassment, maybe even respect. He opened his mouth, closed it, then finally spoke in Japanese. "Who are you?" Sarah answered in the same perfect Japanese. "My name is Sarah Williams. I am your server this evening." "That is not what I asked," he said. "Where did you learn to speak like this?" "I spent a year in Tokyo on a full scholarship at Waseda University. I lived with a host family in Setagaya. My thesis was on honorific speech patterns in modern Japanese society." Something painful flashed in his eyes, shame. One executive tried to smooth things over. "Sir, perhaps we should." "Be quiet." Yamamoto snapped at him. "You laugh like a fool at my joke. You are just as guilty. Maybe more." The young man shrank in his seat. Mr. Peterson hurried over, confused. "Is everything all right, Miss Williams?" "Everything is fine, Mr. Peterson," Sarah said in English. "We were just discussing the menu. Perhaps I should assign another server." "No," Yamamoto said sharply. "She stays." Then he looked at Sarah with new eyes, businessman eyes that recognized value. He gestured to the empty chair. "Sit down." "I'm working, sir." "I can't. I am making it a business meeting." "Sit." "Please." The word please seemed to cost him. Sarah sat. Victoria's stare burned across the room. Yamamoto switched to careful Japanese. My company is expanding in Europe. Cultural differences cause problems. Misunderstandings cost money. I have translators, but they only translate words. They do not understand the meaning behind the words, the space between what is said and what is really meant. I need someone who understands both cultures deeply. Someone who can tell when a British partner says, "That's interesting," but means, "No way." Someone who can help my Japanese team understand why their direct style offends Europeans. Someone like you. Then in English, so there was no mistake. I am offering you a job. International Development Team. 6 months London, 6 months Tokyo. £60,000 a year, plus housing help. Sarah's breath left her. £60,000. Freedom. Why? She asked in Japanese. Why offer this after what you said about me? He looked uncomfortable. Because you told me the truth. Everyone around me is afraid. They laugh at bad jokes. They never correct me. You are not afraid. That is rare. That is priceless. He slid a business card across the table, wrote an address on the back. My office. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Do not be late. He stood, placed a huge tip, and left. Sarah stared at the card. Mr. Peterson rushed over, purple with anger. Williams, what on earth? You sat at a customer's table. I quit, Sarah said, standing. Effective immediately. Victoria hissed behind her. She probably offered him something else. Sarah didn't even turn around. That night she barely slept, the card on her nightstand. Could she work for a man who had insulted her so badly? Or was this her chance to finally live the life she dreamed of, and maybe even change him? At dawn she made her decision. She dressed in her best second-hand suit and went to the gleaming tower in Canary Wharf. Yamamoto was at the window, back to her. You came, he said in Japanese. I did. But I have conditions. His eyebrow rose. Conditions? First, I will never accept disrespect again, in any language. Second, I'm finishing my degree, I need schedule flexibility. Third, part of the housing help must create a scholarship for language students who want to study abroad but can't afford it. Call it the Yamamoto Cultural Exchange Scholarship. Silence. Then Yamamoto smiled, a real, warm smile. Miss Williams, you are even more formidable than I thought. I accept all your conditions. The scholarship is actually smart publicity too. He pushed the contract toward her. Start Monday. As she turned to leave, he said softly, in careful Japanese, Thank you for last night. I needed that wake-up call. We all need reminders sometimes. Sarah replied gently. About treating people with dignity. 3 years later, Sarah wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. She had helped Yamamoto Property Group expand across Europe without cultural disasters. She had earned respect through wisdom and honesty. And the Yamamoto Cultural Exchange Scholarship had already sent 20 students abroad, 20 young people just like her, passionate but broke, 20 futures changed. Yamamoto was still tough, but different, more thoughtful, more aware of his words. He had learned real strength isn't making others feel small. It's lifting people up. Sarah's story reminds us. Your worth is not your job, your uniform, or what others think. Your worth is your knowledge, your dignity, and your courage to speak truth when it's scary. Sometimes the quietest person in the room has the power to change everything. One moment of courage, one perfect sentence, can open doors you never dreamed of. Never let anyone convince you your voice doesn't matter. You are worthy of respect. Your dreams are real. And your story is still being written.